Hi, it's Jim Anderson with Frank Farmer again from the American Metal Roof Showroom in Flint. Frank, I was talking with a friend of mine today about buttoning up my house for the winter, take care of the windows and everything, and making sure I'm not losing any heat. But there's an area that I think sometimes people forget about and neglect in their home.
Yes, they can do some things to their house that will save much more money than they can in buttoning up some areas.
So like windows, is that a good thing?
Sure, absolutely. Putting windows in will save you some energy. You'll see all kinds of claims. The claims are really kind of false. They say 40% energy savings. The reality is you have 11% of your energy that goes out windows, so you save 40% of the 11, or about 5%.
Okay,
so
that's
there's some things
different.
there's some things that people can do. They're much more dramatic than even put insulation in their house. First thing, if we fix the ventilation in our houses, and what I mean by that is get the proper ventilation with intake and exhaust in an attic, you will dry out your insulation.
What difference does that make?
A lot. Here's what you'll find. For every 1% moisture that you have in your attic, you lose 2.5% of your R value. So an R value is your resistance to losing heat. So if you have 10% moisture and you lose 25% of your R value, you've lost 25% of your effect of keeping the heat in your house. That's much better than 5%.
Going out the window.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So we regularly test people's houses when we put on metal roofs, because you shouldn't put a metal roof on a house that is going to need work later.
Okay.
And so I would say to everybody, every homeowner that's out there, I don't care what type of roof you have, you need proper intake and you need proper exhaust. Okay? And by doing that, you can drive down the moisture in the attic because you're drawing in air and it takes out the moisture. Here's what's happened in our houses in the last 20, 30 years.
Okay.
As we've made our houses tighter and tighter and tighter, and by that I mean we put new doors on that we seal with magnets. We replace the windows with triple sealed vinyl windows.
Okay.
We wrap our houses in Tyvek, and some people even wrap them in plastic. We put the little air thingies behind the electrical outlets. We made our houses very tight so we don't get any exchange of air through the walls. Now, no problem, but it's all goes up. So if your house hasn't had any ventilation changes and hasn't been upgraded, you caused a problem up there. You got moisture accumulating. Moisture in an attic should normally read somewhere in the 5-6% range. We're seeing moistures in houses 15, 20, 22, 24%, where they've lost half their value. Now we get into some that we literally grab the insulation, lift it up, and you have water dripping out of it.
Oh my gosh.
It's not normal to have that much water, and therefore they run huge heat bills.
There's another danger though too with that, right?
Yes, when your moisture level starts climbing over 10-12% and continues to rise, you're going to grow mold in the house. Okay, and it's a big problem. I'll tell people this: if they've got moisture contents of 13, 14, 15%, and they don't see mold, that doesn't mean it's not there. If they were going to remove the insulation and start looking, you'd see mold forming all around the edges of the house, towards the walls, and then it starts growing up underneath the underside of the OSB or plywood, and it's nasty.
Wow.
When we go out to a person's house, we'll actually show them how they can grade the attic and where they're at on a grading scale from 1 to 8. By the time you get to 8, you bulldoze the house. People think that's incredible. People get a house bulldozed. But 3 people we visited out of about 1,500 visits this year are going to lose their house. It's that bad.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
So it is serious that people ventilate a house. We are welcome to help anybody. We will do a free inspection for anybody.
Okay.
Irregardless if they're interested in a metal roof. If we can help them with proper ventilation, fantastic. We'll help them out.
It's a health concern.
It is bothersome. It very much is. Mold in a house, you'll notice it will affect the little kids. Years ago, there was lots of studies done on mold when it first started becoming big in houses. We were seeing little kids stroking out. You've seen problems with bleeding out in lungs, all kinds of problems back in the early 80s. But it'll affect the young kids who don't have developed lungs yet. They'll have green slime coming out of their nose. People just think they have a cold. That's not true. It's also going to affect grandma and grandpa. not necessarily the 65, 70-year-old, but when you bring mom into the house, she's 83, 85, and all of a sudden she's irritated and not feeling well. It could be the symptoms of the mold that are going on in the house that a normal, healthy individual doesn't have a problem with. So we will help anybody. We'll do a no obligation inspection and help them out. And at some point, you know, if we can help them save their house, that'd be great.
Okay, awesome. So there are also, I think in another video, let's talk about a product that American Metal Roofs also features for ventilation.
Okay.
That will aid in drying out that attic.
Yeah.
The high flow ridge vent.
We've been around for 20 years, and one of the very first things that we understood was the challenges that were going on as we buttoned up these houses, made them tighter and tighter. American Metal Roof has a vent called high flow. It is a high performing vent. It draws lots of volumes of air. Many homes don't have soffit venting, so we have an eve-edge vent that can be put on also.
Okay.
And the goal is to bring in volumes of air. The way that that vent works, it takes advantage of air as it's hitting the roof. It deflects it up and over like an airplane wing.
Okay.
And where in an airplane you'd get lift, what we create is suction at the ridge. And so we suck air in coming from the eave and up. That's unlike most vents that are just some porous fabric or something that's up there covered with a shingle, whereas the air is hitting the roof, it pushes the air back in the attic.
Oh, that's so good, yeah.
Well, it takes all the moisture, drives it down into your insulation,
Yeah.
and it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
And you end up with a lot of moisture, excess fuel bills, and mold.
Okay, wow. All right, so ventilation, very important. In future, we'll take a look at a demonstration of the high flow ridge vent. Until then, if you've got questions about ventilation, please contact American Metal Roofs, 844 Metal Roofs, or visit us online, AmericanMetalRoofs.com. And for now, it's Jim and Frank from the showroom in Flint. Thank you.